And so, as we get ready to present for the small screen, coming up in the first 7 minutes, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more around this concept of going digital and what it really means, and this difference between narrowcasting and broadcasting, and also why tune-out is really somewhat inevitable. Now, as we get going on what it is that we're up against, I think that the real acronym that has taken flight at the moment is NOR, right? And it stands for Not Another Webinar. And I think it's kind of indicative of what we've been through last year. So if you really start to look at that scenario of what used to be and what people were used to BC, before COVID, this is kind of more recently what happened to us. Everybody's online, and while they're in a Zoom call or watching a webinar or something, they're constantly bombarded by things on WhatsApp. They may be downloading something, they're fact-checking, and somehow they are sharing their attention span, or it gets diminished because there's just so much that is going on in our worlds digitally on this little screen right now. And here is just off the bat some of the thoughts that I've had around things that you could look at to really avoid, really at the outset as you start to do something. So some of the conventions that really just won't fly. Late starts, not a thing anymore. Long introductions and bios, not possible. Don't do that. Don't wait for latecomers. I think that it's disrespectful. And in the end, you really just want to get going, move fast, don't have static slides like this one for too long. And then also look at what it is that you have as a branding opportunity while you have these slides on the screen. I mean, if anything, the presentation is an extension of what it is that you are and of your brand. And so it feels like it is a shame sometimes to see somebody use bright, awful colors and bad fonts when in fact they have a really nice CI and a really well-designed logo. Let's go and look at what it is that this streaming or narrowcast world is like when you compare it to where broadcast comes from. Now, broadcast, traditional television, is something where a broadcaster speaks to. They decide to broadcast something at a specific time. It's going to go out at 8 o'clock tonight and everybody's going to watch Dallas or whatever the show is. Different to streaming networks, which are always on, and you get to select what it is that you see. So this world of presenting online and working in webinars is essentially a mix of those two, and there's definitely a converse with. There's definitely an immediate feedback, and people expect some form of participation. Now, if you look at what people are used to in the 16:9 world, which is the format of the screen that you're watching right now, you can tell that people like Hollywood and Netflix and those high-end content producers are working very hard to retain your attention and make sure that you're coming back. So there are fantastic formulas and there's fantastic work that people have done in structuring television shows and programming over the last 100 years of television and film in order to keep audiences in. And that's why I think it's probably a great idea to learn from them. And so here is a secret weapon I would like to introduce you to. The thought is that we should just copy them. It's as simple as that, folks. I think that those structures are so in place and so timelessly proven that it's easy for us just to plug some of those into what it is that we do on webinars and live presentations. And essentially, if this idea can sink in for you and you can think about how this programming sometimes produces magnificent experiences in a TV hour, which is 48 minutes, why would it be that we need to do a talk that carries on even more than 60 minutes sometimes, when it is possible to have a structured thought that will land clearly in 48 minutes, and think about that incredible commodity of time that we afford our viewers by saying, you have 12 minutes spare to go and get ready for your next webinar or meeting or whatever else you need to do online.